Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this presentation today. It's really exciting for me to be presenting to present and future researchers from my alma mater. My name is Caroline Hunvig, and I recently completed my MSc in Wildlife Management under the supervision of Dr. Mark Keith within the department's Mammal Research Institute. So on the left was me last year, busy working on my MSc, sitting where some of you are sitting now. And on the right is what I do just about every day. I get to hang out with vultures. Since completing my MSc, I have been working as a research assistant at VulPro at the foot of the Magaliesberg Mountains. VulPro is a multifaceted conservation program that focuses on the conservation of southern African vultures. So this is just an image of where we are on the map. You can see Pretoria on the right and VulPro on the left, very close to Hartbeespoort. It's about a 45-minute drive from Pretoria. And this is just an aerial shot of VulPro. And you can see most of our enclosures in the frame. In Africa, 8 of the 11 vulture species are endangered or critically endangered, and these birds are at risk of becoming extinct in our lifetimes. These birds are exceptionally important in our ecosystems as they are the only terrestrial obligatory scavengers and are therefore not only crucial for cleaning up carcasses, but they are also vital to stop the spread of certain diseases such as anthrax, rabies, and botulism. Diseases which they do not normally contract from carcasses, nor do they pass on through excretion. However, despite their importance, these birds are being threatened by a number of anthropogenic factors. These include power line collisions and electrocutions, poisoning, this can be intentional or unintentional, traditional medicine, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory veterinary drugs. One of the biggest culprits in this group is diclofenac, which is the clinical name for Voltaren. These factors altogether have led to African vulture populations declining by more than 80% in the last 3 decades. Our aim at VulPro is to conserve these vulture species and to help increase their wild population numbers. We do this through a number of approaches, and these are mainly rescue and rehabilitation, population supplementation through captive breeding, and of course research. Our focus is on ensuring as many wild vultures are released back into the wild as possible because each individual counts in ensuring that wild populations can grow. However, it's super important that we continue to conduct research on our work to make sure that we are going about our methods the correct way and that what we're doing is positively affecting wild vulture populations. So what I would like to present to you today is what we do at VulPro, some of our groundbreaking research that we have conducted over the years, and then I would like to chat to you about how we would like you to get involved at VulPro. So to start us off, as I said previously, our main focus is rescue and rehabilitation of vultures. We receive vulture species from across the country and we rehabilitate these birds for release as soon as possible. This year so far, we've had approximately 50 birds from across the country and we've released 16 of these birds. These are just some of the vultures that we have rescued so far this year. Currently, we are housing approximately 250 birds, most of which are Cape vultures and African whiteback vultures. However, we also house 7 lappet-faced vultures, 2 white-headed vultures, 3 palm-nut vultures, a snake eagle, a fish eagle, and then a king vulture, a black vulture, and 3 Andean condors from South America. Presently, we have 4 main vulture enclosures: our Cape vulture rehab enclosure, our African white-backed vulture enclosure, our open enclosure for non-flighted vultures, and our Cape vulture breeding enclosure. As I said, our goal is to release as many of these birds back into the wild as possible. However, some of these birds are non-releasable, as they either have injuries that are too extensive to justify release, amputated wings, or they were bred into captivity and have imprinted on humans before coming to us. Most of these birds are housed in our open and breeding enclosures. Our open enclosure is a really special enclosure that allows amputee vultures to interact with wild birds who come down to feed at VulPro. And our breeding enclosure is for more agile, non-releasable birds, as it includes an artificial cliff face to allow birds to pair off and nest. Both of these enclosures are really important for our captive breeding program. When these birds breed, we carefully follow their laying, incubation, and hatching, and successful chicks are released back into the wild for population supplementation. Should we need to intervene, we have incubators, hatches, and brooder machines, and once chicks are hatched, we return them to their parents. In this way, even our non-releasable birds are able to contribute to the wild population. This has been extremely successful so far, and we've released approximately 40 individuals over the years, with some of our captive bred birds traveling huge distances. This year, we have had 26 eggs from our vultures so far, and we have confirmed the fertility of 13 of these eggs. It's still early in the season, so we are really looking forward to the most successful season yet, hopefully. To make sure these birds interact with as few humans as possible, once these birds are old enough, they are transported to a soft release enclosure at the highest point in the Magaliesberg. There is a wild colony close by, and this allows the birds to re-wild without too much human interference. Once the birds are at the site for a few months, they are then released back into the wild. Beyond our rescue and rehabilitation and captive breeding program, we also monitor wild populations of vultures. We conduct power line surveys regularly and look at where power lines are negatively affecting vulture populations and how these can be mitigated. We also conduct cliff monitoring surveys where we monitor wild Cape vulture colonies and assess their breeding and fledging success. So just as an example, on the right is one of the cliffs that we monitor. And you can see each of those dots, there has a small number in it, and those are each nests that we know of where Cape vultures are nesting. So we visit these cliffs 3 times a year during the breeding season, and we monitor whether there are nests there, whether there are pairs there, whether copulation is happening, whether there is a fledgling or incubation happening, and this helps us to know what kind of population size we're looking at with our wild Cape vultures. All of the facets of VulPro and being on the forefront of vulture conservation in Africa has meant that VulPro has been able to conduct some truly exceptional research over the years. VulPro has published over 50 publications in various journals, but I would just like to highlight some of the more poignant of these. If you would like to have a full look at what we've done so far in the past, you can have a look on our website, www.vulpro.com, and we have all our publications and protocols up there. The first of these studies is a 2006 study that our founder, Kerry Walter, was part of, with the title Removing the Threat of Diclofenac to Critically Endangered Asian Vultures. This was an exceptionally important study that VulPro was a part of. The Asian vulture crisis was an extremely devastating time for ecosystems in Asia, as it caused the collapse of 3 vulture species of the Gyps genus, and was found to have been caused by the use of diclofenac in livestock that vultures were consuming. This was identified, and the study sought to find alternatives for this drug that might be safe for use on livestock that might be consumed by vultures. It was found that meloxicam, another non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, was a safe alternative, and it is now widely accepted that vulture restaurants should not be stocked with any livestock that has been treated with any non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs unless it is meloxicam. The second of the studies helps to prove the dangers of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, specifically diclofenac, in African vultures. This 2009 paper, titled Veterinary Diclofenac Threatens Africa's Endangered Vulture Species, was another paper that VulPro was a part of, and it helped to show that diclofenac was just as deadly for African vultures as it was for Asian vultures. This meant that it was possible to implement changes in what drugs were given to livestock that might be consumed by vultures long before it became the vulture crisis that Asia experienced. Then, once again, VulPro has been on the forefront of threats to African vultures by being part of the study that found that lead was a threat to vultures. With no one reason being found to be causing the drastic declines in African vultures, lead poisoning was found to be a potential reason for vulture declines as well. blood lead levels of vultures were tested and found to be incredibly high. The study found that it is a potential that the reason for this may be that leaded ammunition used by hunters is finding its way into vultures' systems, causing the lead poisoning. Finally, VulPro feels it is very important that best practice protocols are followed, not only for vultures' well-being, but also for the best results from a program or study. For this reason, VulPro has compiled a number of world firsts in terms of protocols, and some of these are a protocol for mass capture, handling, and fitting tracking devices on gyps vultures, a Cape vulture captive breeding protocol, a vulture rehabilitation manual, a Cape vulture colony monitoring protocol, a vulture tree nesting survey protocol, a vulture restaurant monitoring protocol, as well as a power line monitoring protocol. So the last thing I just want to chat to you about is volunteering at VulPro. As an NPC, we have a very small staff of 6 people, and we are very reliant on volunteers to help us out. Currently, with international travel being impossible, we are without any of our long-term international volunteers. What would be really excellent for us is if we can get a number of local student volunteers. As I said, it is not that far, VulPro is not that far outside of Pretoria. It's about a 45-minute drive in the direction of Hartbeespoort. Obviously, right now, we cannot have too many volunteers here due to social distancing rules. But as soon as the COVID-19 alert status allows, we would really love it if you could give us some of your time at VulPro, which would also afford you the chance to work up close and personal with our vultures and get hands-on handling and work experience with them. If this is something that you'd be interested in, and I would definitely recommend it as young animal professionals, please contact me on info@vulpro.com. Thank you so much for your time. If you would like to get in contact with us about any of these projects or any other ideas you might have for a project, or if you would like to volunteer at VulPro sometime, please contact me at info@vulpro.com. You're also more than welcome to contact me if you have any questions about the work that we are doing or about VulPro in general. And then if you could please go and follow us on social media. We are on Facebook at VulPro Africa, on Instagram at VulPro_official, on Twitter at We Love Vultures, and then we also have a YouTube channel that you can check out, and we'd really love it if you would subscribe. Yeah, so thank you so much for your time, and I'm hoping to hear from you soon.